The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass DLC has been a blast! The tracks are amazing! Except for SNES Mario Circuit 3. And the characters we got are awesome too! Which is why it's sad that Wave 6 is going to be the last wave of the entire pass. But at the same time, it's a good thing since we will finally be able to look forward to Mario Kart 9. Anyways, in this video, I will be predicting the last 8 tracks which will be in Wave 6 of the Booster Course Pass. Also, once again, this video was inspired by Albert Boris's prediction videos, so go subscribe to him. And before I start, I will be using a leak to help me predict most of the tracks in this video, that being the prefix leak. I'm also going to rearrange the prefixes, since the track order in the recent waves has been jumbled up and has led to tons of surprises. One moment please. There we go. Most of my predictions from the last video aged like milk, especially the Mob MD and Cairo predictions. What was I thinking? Oh well, let's begin the predictions. Starting off with the Acorn Cup. The city track I think that will be in this cup would be Rome Avanti. For those of you who don't know, Rome Avanti is one of the newer city tracks that was announced in June. It takes place at night and currently has 2 variants, with the third one possibly coming soon. So why do I think this track will be in the Acorn Cup? Well, this may be a bit of a stretch, but hear me out. You know how Vancouver Velocity was supposed to be the original first track in Wave 6? You know how it took place at nighttime? Honestly, it would kind of make sense for them to replace one nighttime city track with another. Plus, Rome Avanti isn't that much of a challenging track. The vibes it gives off are a mix of New York Minute and Athens Dash. I'd say the difficulty for this track is just moderate, which is why I think it will be the first track of the Acorn Cup. Plus, the course team is all calm and easygoing. It isn't intense or anything, so I feel like it would be a calm before the storm. The storm being the Spiny Shell Cup, that is. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna predict Rome Avanti as the first city track of the Acorn Cup. Next up, we have the supposed GCN track that was originally supposed to be in Wave 5. Originally, Maple Treeway was supposed to be in this spot. However, it got pushed forward to Wave 3, which then pushed Waluigi Stadium to Wave 4, and then pushed Daisy Cruiser to Wave 5, and now pushed the original Wave 5 GCN track to possibly this spot. Now, if you're wondering how I'm going to figure out which GCN track is the most likely candidate for this spot, well, I'm going to use process of elimination! First off, no GCN, Luigi, or Mario circuit. I honestly doubt they would add a circuit track in Wave 5. I don't think it's Mushroom Bridge or Mushroom City either, because it would conflict with Moonview Highway, another highway team track. Peach Beach seems likely since it is a beach track after all, but then again, it would probably conflict with Los Angeles Labs. Dino Dino Jungle doesn't really seem like it would be in Wave 5 despite its jungle theme. Sure, there were many advertisements relating to it, but most of those were in tracks that were ported from Mario Kart Tour. In fact, I think DK Mountain is more likely since it's a fan favorite. And I know what you may be thinking, but isn't DK Summit already in the DLC? Wouldn't adding DK Mountain be a bit repetitive? DK Mountain is distinct enough from DK Summit. DK Summit takes place at a ski resort, while DK Mountain takes place in a jungle with a volcano, so yeah. Plus, I feel like DK Mountain may have been the original GCN Wave 5 track, since it's a jungle track. And since jungles are warm biomes, and Wave 5 came out during the summer, I feel like it would have been a perfect fit for Wave 5. But yeah, I'm locking it in. DK Mountain for this spot. Hopefully I don't get this wrong, because if I did, it would be embarrassing. Like, really embarrassing. Next up, we have a new track, and I'm going to predict Piranha Plant Pipeline for this spot. Piranha Plant Pipeline is a relatively new track that was announced on the same day the Wave 5 teaser trailer came out. The track is quite complex and a bit challenging. There's even a part of the track where you have to make the choice to take either the red pipe or the blue pipe. But then why did I predict it to be in the Acorn Cup? Well, that's because I believe the Spiny Cup will consist of 3 retro tracks. And also, there's another new track I believe would fit as the last track of the Acorn Cup, which I will talk about in a bit. But yeah, this track is pretty great, and I think it will end up in the Acorn Cup rather than the Spiny Shell Cup. And now for the last course of the Acorn Cup, which I believe will be Piranha Plant Cove! This track is one of the best Mario Kart Tour Nitro tracks, and it's actually unique from the other Tour non-city tracks, because it has 3 variants, just like the city tracks. Because of the 3 variant thing, I think it's most likely possible that this track is sectioned. I predict that the first lap will follow the path of Piranha Cove too, meaning it would start on the beach. There's also an equal chance for this track to end up in the Spiny Shell Cup, maybe either as a second last track in that cup, or the third last track. But for now, I'm going to predict that this track will end up as the last course of the Acorn Cup. This is one of the tracks I'm looking forward to the most. Hopefully it will be awesome. Alright, we're done with the Acorn Cup. Before we move on to the Spiny Shell Cup, let's take a break and talk about who the last 2 drivers that will appear in Wave 6 will be. For the first driver, I'm predicting Diddy Kong. I mean, it just makes sense. They brought back Birdo, who first originated as a driver from Double Dash. They brought back PD Piranha, who also first originated as a driver from Double Dash. And guess what? Diddy Kong also originated as a driver in Double Dash. Also, he's in Tour, which would increase his chances by a lot, since most tracks and some characters possibly were ported over from Mario Kart Tour. So yeah, it just makes sense for Diddy Kong to be one of the last new drivers in the Booster Course Pass. And as for the second driver, I'm gonna predict Rob. Okay, hear me out on this one. One of the last spots for a new driver just so happens to be in the row where most of the non-Mario characters are. And Rob isn't really associated with Mario at all. Plus, Rob is one of the last characters anyone would expect to be added to the Booster Course Pass. And we all know how Nintendo loves to surprise us with each wave. For example, in Wave 5, Wiggler was announced to be coming to the Booster Course Pass when not many people were expecting him to appear at all. Plus, if they didn't want to make a new model for Rob, they could just take his model from Smash Ultimate. Although, I also think Funky Kong may be likely since he isn't really associated with Mario either. However, most people are speculating that either Pauline or Funky Kong would be the last new driver, so it kinda makes sense for Nintendo to surprise us with Rob, someone almost nobody was expecting. I know this prediction may age like milk once the direct airs, but it doesn't matter. That's the fun of speculating stuff. Sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. So yeah, I'm locking it in. Diddy Kong and Rob for Wave 6. Now, on to the Spiny Shell Cup. Starting off with the first track of this cup, and the last city track, it's Mob MD! Now, in my last prediction video, I talked about how I didn't think this was going to be Madrid, and instead would be a desert track. As it turns out, that aged like milk, and Mob MD was actually Madrid. Anyways, Madrid is one of the more unique city tracks. It even has 3 versions of the course's music. The first one being the regular music that plays during the race, the second one being a sporty version that plays when you enter the soccer arena, and the third is a more classical and relaxing version of the course's music. This version is supposed to play when you enter the art museum in the course, which will be in the course's third variant. Why am I bringing this up? Because the last city tracks of both Wave 4 and 5 had a second version of its theme. Singapore Speedway had an East Asian version of its theme that would play during the Chinatown section of the track, and Vancouver Velocity had a sportsy version of its theme that would play during the stadium section of the track. And both Singapore and Vancouver were the last city tracks in their respective waves. There's clearly a pattern here, and this is one of the reasons I think Madrid Drive will end up in the Spiny Shell Cup instead of the Acorn Cup. The other reason being that this track seems to be a bit more challenging than Romavanti. Romavanti feels more easygoing when compared to this track, and Madrid Drive's music is especially intense, and it makes you feel like you're driving frantically in a city. So yeah, I think Madrid Drive is going to be the city track for the Spiny Shell Cup. Oh boy, here comes the juicy part, the kinda unknown retro track. I say kinda because according to the prefix leak, this track is probably a GCN course. But if it doesn't end up being a GCN course, then here are my predictions on what 2 other tracks it could be. Number 1, Airship Fortress. I mean, it's a fan favorite, and also the track would probably fit well in the Spiny Shell Cup. And number 2, Toad's Factory. Okay, seriously, where the hell is Toad's Factory? If 2 Wii tracks end up in Wave 6, one of them must be Toad's Factory. It just makes sense. It's a fan favorite too. But realistically, it's probably going to be a GCN track. But which one? Well, we gotta use process of elimination again. I don't think it's going to be either GCN Rainbow Road or GCN Bowser's Castle, because we already are going to get a Rainbow Road and a Bowser Castle track in this cup. So that means only one track remains. That one being Wario Coliseum! This track is perfect for Wave 6. I mean, just look at this thing. This track is absolutely wild, and you can tell that by looking at the course's mini-map alone. Plus, I feel like Wave 6 is going to have more challenging tracks, since it's the last wave after all. And this track in particular would be a perfect fit! And I know some of you may be saying, but this track can't be in the Booster Course Pass, because Waluigi Stadium is already in there. So, DS Wario Stadium is already in the base game, and that didn't stop Waluigi Pinball from being added. So yeah, as absurd as this prediction may be, I think Wario Coliseum will be the last GCN track of the entire Booster Course Pass. Now it's time for the second last track of the Spiny Shell Cup, that being SNES Bowser Castle 3. Okay, at first it may seem a bit underwhelming since it's an SNES track after all, but this track actually got the same treatment as the GBA tracks in Tour. This track got a massive upgrade. It got elevation, which would pave the way for a future anti-gravity section once it does end up in the Booster Course Pass. And it's overall better than the original, of course. You may still think it's a bit underwhelming, so here's what I think they could also add to this track. Maybe some parts of the track could sink into the lava like in Grumble Volcano, or maybe the lava will rise on lap 3. Who knows? Either way, this track is one of the best SNES course remakes out there, and I'm excited for its inclusion in the Booster Course Pass. And now, it's time for the last track of the Spiny Shell Cup. The last track of the entire Booster Course Pass. You all already know what it is. Wii Rainbow Road! Not only is it quite challenging, it also got added to Tour earlier this year, which increases chances of being in the Booster Course Pass. Plus, Wii Rainbow Road's music feels like something that would play in the credits of a video game, which would be fitting since it's the last track of the entire Booster Course Pass. This is one of the best Rainbow Roads, and I'm glad it got to end the Booster Course Pass, if it actually is the last track, that is. But yeah, this is one of the tracks I'm looking forward to the most, and I hope so many more people can enjoy playing Wii Rainbow Road. Now, this would be the end of the video, but I have a few more things to talk about. In the custom items menu, there's 2 blank spots, probably for 2 new items to be added. I think those 2 items would be the fake item box and the Mega Mushroom. The fake item box is an iconic item that has been in the Mario Kart series since 64. It just makes no sense that this item isn't in this game, or any mainline Mario Kart game after Wii. It isn't even in Tour. So if 2 new items get added in the update with Wave 6, I think this item will be one of them. And as for the Mega Mushroom, well, I mean, it's a cool item, and it's also present in Tour, so it would be easy to bring the item over to 8 Deluxe. Plus, this item just feels like it would make a great addition to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so I hope the Mega Mushroom is added as well. And now for some extra stuff. Basically changes to tracks that's already in the Booster Course Pass. You know, like how they changed Coconut Mall's cars in the update with Wave 2 in it. First off, I feel like they'll bring back the sunset gimmick in Sunset Wilds. I mean, it didn't even turn on nighttime on lap 3 for some reason, and even Tour managed to make that gimmick work. So it just makes sense to add back the sunset gimmick in Sunset Wilds. It doesn't really feel like Sunset Wilds without the sunset anyway. The second thing I think they'll change is that they might bring back the inky Piranha plants in Bangkok Rush. For some reason, these special Piranha plants weren't present in the 8 Deluxe version of Bangkok Rush, and I don't understand why. And 3, I hope they make some graphical upgrades to the Wave 1 track, so they can be on par with the rest of the Booster Course Pass. The bad textures in Wave 1 make it laughably bad when compared to the rest of the Booster Course Pass, and I hope they update the textures, especially in Toad Circuit. So yeah, that's about it. Here are my final predictions. It's sad that Mario Kart Tour is ending, and possibly 8 Deluxe too. The Wave 6 update may just be one of the last updates for this game, meaning we now have to look forward to the next Mario Kart game. Thank you, Nintendo, for giving us this amazing DLC for this game, and thank you all for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you want, and also hit that bell. But yeah, we will see if my predictions age like milk or not in tomorrow's Direct. I'm Mustafa Animates, signing off.